poem number 2.3, There is Another Sky by Emily Dickinson, Part 3. Hello dear students and dear friends. In my last video lecture, I read the poem There is Another Sky by Emily Dickinson line by line, and I also explained you this poem There is Another Sky in detail. Friends, today I would like to discuss the margin activities and the figures of speech in this poem There is Another Sky. First, I will discuss the margin activities and then I'll go for the figures of speech. So let's start the discussion of the margin activities first. So friends, open your textbook of English and see the margin activities of this poem that are given in the light blue margin beside the text of the poem on page number 76. Now see, the first margin activity is the poet says another sky. Guess the meaning. The poet says another sky. Guess the meaning. Now I tell you the answer of this. Another sky means another kind of atmosphere or another kind of conditions or place different from some other place. Or I repeat, another kind of sky or another sky means another kind of atmosphere or conditions different from some other place. Now the second margin activity is the poet is addressing the poem to dash dash dash. The second margin activity is the poet is addressing the poem to dash dash dash, and the answer of this activity is the poet is addressing the poem to her younger brother Austin. The poet is addressing the poem to her younger brother Austin. The poet is addressing the poem to her younger brother Austin. Now see the next and the last margin activity of this poem. See the last margin activity. The poet depicts a different garden. The poet depicts a different garden. Discuss about it with your partner. Now the answer of this activity is the poet says that the garden here is brighter. The poet says that the garden here is brighter. The flowers which get damaged in frost have not been touched. Usually the flowers which get damaged in frost, they have not been touched here. means the flowers are not touched and damaged by the frost here. They are bright in the garden here. They are bright and colorful in the garden here. This garden is her garden, and this garden is her garden. Now here we have finished all the margin activities. Now let's discuss the figures of speech from the poem There Is Another Sky, or from this poem. Figures of speech. See the first line of the poem. There is another sky. There is another sky. The figure of speech used here in this line is hyperbole. The figure of speech is hyperbole. Hyperbole, how hyperbole is here? Because here it is an obvious overstatement. It is an obvious overstatement. How overstatement is there? Because it is said here to have another sky, and there is only one sky in the universe. So another sky is not possible, but it has a different reference. So another sky is not possible, and that's why it is an overstatement, obvious overstatement. There is another sky. This is an obvious overstatement, and so there the figure of speech in this line is hyperbole. Now see the second line. Ever serene and fair. Again, the figure of speech in this line is hyperbole. In this line also the figure of speech is hyperbole. How a hyperbole is here? How a hyperbole is here? Here also an obvious overstatement is there. In this line also there is an obvious overstatement. Ever serene and fair. In this line also there is an obvious overstatement, and so there is hyperbole. Ever means permanent, forever, and serene means peaceful. So it is said that here this place is peaceful and fair forever. Actually this is not possible, and so no place can be peaceful and fair forever. So this is also an obvious overstatement. So ever, serene and fair, in this line also the same figure of speech hyperbole is there. Now see the next line. Never mind faded forests, Austin. Or never mind faded forests. In this line the figure of speech is alliteration. Here in this line the sound of F is repeated. Here the sound of F is repeated. Now what is alliteration? I explained you in detail. Alliteration is the figure of speech when in the line of the poem the consonant sounds or the consonant sound is repeated in the beginning of the words. It is alliteration. Only the consonant sounds, not the vowel sounds. I repeat, when in the line of the poem, when the consonant sound only is repeated at the beginning or at the initial position or in the beginning of the word, there is alliteration. For example, faded, forest, in these two words the consonant sound of F is repeated in the beginning of these words, and so there is alliteration. Consonant sound F means the consonant sound of F, of alphabet F. While writing the explanation of alliteration, you will have to write like this. Here the sound of F is repeated pleasingly. Don't write or add the word alphabet or letter. Don't write explanation of alliteration like this. Here the letter F or alphabet F is repeated pleasingly. It is completely wrong. So the correct explanation of alliteration is alliteration underline dash. Here the sound of F is repeated pleasingly. That small f into is to be written into single inverted comma. Now see the next line. Never mind silent fields. Never mind silent fields. In this line, the figure of speech is personification. The figure of speech is personification. How personification is here? Here, fields are given the human quality of being silent. Here, the fields are given the human quality of being silent. And so there is personification. Now let's go to another line. Next line. The next line is now see the next line. In its unfading flowers. In its unfading flowers. Here also the figure of speech is hyperbole. The figure of speech is hyperbole because this is also an obvious overstatement. Now each and every flower gets fed, gets damaged and destroyed by time. But here it is said that this garden has unfading flowers, means which will not get damaged and which will remain bright and colorful. Here it is said that this garden has unfading flowers, means such a flowers which will be bright and colorful forever and will not or will never get damaged. So actually this is not possible, and so this statement is also an obvious overstatement. And so the figure of speech in this line, in its unfading flowers, is hyperbole. Now see the next line. In the next line, the line above this, see the second line of the sestet or second part. Where not a frost has been. See the second line of the second part. Where not a frost has been. Where not a frost has been. In this second line of the second part, where not a frost has been, the figure of speech is inversion. Here the figure of speech is inversion. How inversion is here, or how the figure of speech inversion is here? Here the words are not in the correct prose order. The correct prose order of the sentence is where a frost has not been. The correct prose order of this sentence is where a frost has not been. Now see the next line. The next line is I hear the bright bee hum. See the line, I hear the bright bee hum. In this line there are two figures of speech. Number one, alliteration. How alliteration is here? Here the sounds of H and B are repeated pleasingly. Here two consonant sounds. The sounds of H and B are repeated pleasingly. Another figure of speech in this line is onomatopoeia. What is onomatopoeia? Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech. When in the line of the poem a word expresses the sound, at that time there is onomatopoeia. There is onomatopoeia. In this line, the word hum expresses sound, and so here is onomatopoeia, or so there is onomatopoeia. So in this line, I hear the bright bee hum. The word hum expresses the sound, and so the figure of speech is onomatopoeia. Now see the next line, the last line of the poem. Into my garden come. Into my garden come. The figure of speech used in this line is inversion. The figure of speech in this last line of the poem is inversion. How inversion is here? Here the words are not in the correct prose order. The correct prose order of the sentence is come into my garden. The correct prose order of this sentence is come into my garden. So friends, thus we have finished the discussion of all the figures of speech in the poem. So we should stop here. In my next video lecture, I will discuss the brainstorming section of this poem. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.